Well, ladies, I am so glad to get to be with you because this has been a long time coming. We've been together almost a year planning this, and now to launch what is Preacher Chicks. I am so excited to do this with you. Uh, for those of you who are watching this video, I want you to know that we started last August with an opportunity to be a place that we could hone and offer skills and an opportunity for those who want to preach and teach and who feel called to that. And so I couldn't think of a better group of women that I wanted to do this with than the women you see on this screen right now. And first of all, we're just going to go through and introduce ourselves and where we're serving and how the places we have previously served have prepared us to be part of this teaching team. So I will start with myself. My name is Felicia, and I have been in ministry for 25 years, and God has blessed me with so many opportunities. I had a speaking and preaching coach 15 years ago who blessed me with the opportunity to take over some preaching engagements that she had. And I loved that. And I can't believe that 15 years later, here I am in this space to be able to do that, hopefully with and for you. So with that, we're going to just do a round robin and have ladies share from their experiences as well. But before I jump into that, a couple of other things about me. I'm a personal coach, and I do that with both lead pastors and church planting pastors. I love mentoring young people. It's something that I have done for a long time. I've been a public speaker, a Bible teacher, and now I'm a preacher chick. So there you go. That's me.
Hey everyone, I'm Alicia. I'm a local church pastor at a sweet neighborhood parish in Central Washington. I've been a lead pastor for 4 years, but I delivered my first sermon when I was barely 18 and have noticed God's call in my life to preach the word. In addition to local pastoral work, I also co-host a lectionary-based podcast called A Plain Account, where every week we open the text for that week, read it together, and discuss exegetical components and homiletical handles and how we might bring the text to our people. So in addition to my weekly preaching responsibilities, there's the podcast work. And on top of that, I frequently find myself offering mentoring or spiritual direction, especially to young people who are discerning a call to ministry. So that's me.
Hey everybody, my name's Andrea Coley, and I wear a couple of different hats, just like all of these women that you see here. I am currently serving as the teaching pastor at Crosswinds Church, which is a church in the East Bay in Livermore, California. I've been here about 13 years and have done ministry prior to that since my early 20s. Another hat I wear is that I am a founding member and executive director of an organization called Lead Bold. Lead Bold is a leadership organization where we're committed to empowering and equipping women in ministry to live into God's call and their potential in ministry. And then my third hat is that I'm a speaker. So I often get invited to retreats or conferences or other churches to preach on a Sunday morning. So a lot of my life revolves around ministry and teaching and gathering, especially women who also want to do that. I'm so excited to be part of this team.
Hi, my name is Annie Chang, and I'm an educator and speaker, and I'm passionate about going to schools and churches to teach and start discussions about healthy relationships and sex. And my hope is to just see more people really understand God's love for them, to heal from their past brokenness or shame, to have relational wisdom, and to strive for sexual integrity.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jonna Bohegian. I am an associate pastor at St. Timothy's Lutheran Church in San Jose. I've been here for a little over 4 years, and before then, I was largely in the Central Valley preaching at a variety of different churches, and from anywhere from 12 people in a church setting to now about 300. So a few different contexts of preaching experiences with congregations, and I'm happy to be here with you.
Thanks, ladies. So next we're going to just share, why is this opportunity important for us to be offering at this time? And what are we passionate about? Like, why is doing this kind of work a passion for us? And you've heard already just some of the things that we bring to this process. But if you haven't watched the first video with me introducing what Preacher Chicks is, I'm going to give you a little bit of that here. So offering this opportunity became so important to me when I was just thinking about how it is that women who feel called to ministry, especially to preaching, how are they resourced? How are they trained? How are we given opportunities? And so as I realized, a lot of times it happens life on life, and it happens with someone who has an opportunity, offering that opportunity to someone else. And then I realized there aren't a lot of women in the position to do that. But I thought to myself, well, I know a few and I'm in a position to do that. So then why not do something about it? And so I'm very much a doer, not just a talker. And so literally I read a book that was talking about this. And then I reached out to these ladies and I said, what are we going to do about this? There is a space and a place. I wouldn't call it a vacuum, because I feel like there's a lot of people who have this ability, but they just don't know the next steps. And so I said, how do we offer those next steps? And it has been a great opportunity to hear. So I want you to hear from these ladies about why they're passionate about it and why they joined me in this endeavor.
Yes, thank you so much, Felicia. To build on that, to echo everything you say, and then to contribute some of my own unique passions, I discovered my call to ministry first and foremost as a preacher. I believe that there is a unique and powerful spiritual synergy in the preaching of the word. When we read the scriptures together and they come alive via the same spirit that inspired them when they were written and that lives in us today. And so, especially in this season of pandemic life slash almost pandemic life, where we've been doing distance gathering, and even before that, where there were lots of questions of what is the role of preaching in digital churches when people can just download podcasts or watch a TED Talk or whatever. Does preaching have a place in this new world of church? I believe passionately and firmly yes. And so I'm committed to cultivating the practice and the craft of preaching as an art form, as well as knowing that this is one of the primary ways that the Spirit of God has always spoken to God's people. So really invested in the Preacher Chicks work, primarily as a preacher who cares about preaching and the legacy of preaching.
So for me, I look back to being a woman in her early 20s who knew really clearly that God had gifted me and called me to do some kind of teaching or preaching or speaking. But I didn't necessarily have the chance to develop those gifts until I was invited to a cohort a lot like this. And it gave me a chance to gain some tools and some feedback and a chance to practice and kind of get affirmation from those who were many steps ahead of me and from my peers who were also trying to nurture this gift that God had given them. And so that experience for me really changed the trajectory for me and just elevated my level of confidence in the gifting God had given me and in his call in my life in that. And so when I think about the chance to do that for someone else, as Felicia said, kind of in a life on life kind of setting, I'm so energized by that. In addition, I believe that women of color in particular, their voices and their perspective need to be elevated. And this is a way that I feel like God has equipped me to elevate her for what her message is and what God's putting on her heart, how He's growing her gifts. So when Felicia asked me if I would be a part of this, all I could do was say yes, because all of those things align so strongly with what God's done in my own life and how I see Him using me going forward in the lives of people like you that are watching this.
Well, for me, I truly believe that we will see a clear picture of what it means to be made in the image of God when we see women of color have a place to tell their stories. And I think that people of different ethnicities and cultures need to see how God can give healing and hope to people who look like them with stories that are similar to theirs.
And for me, I realized that I continue to process my journey as a pastor and preacher. And I know how important it is to have that encouragement, to have had that encouragement, and to continue to have that encouragement in my life. So it behooves me to offer that to other people. It's really important to offer the same encouragement that I have received. And then, of course, we want to see the kingdom of God on earth as it is in heaven. And it won't take place until we see people of every color, of every gender preaching. And so I am excited to be a part of this process and excited to bring some of the kingdom of God into the pulpit.
Wow. I hope you are getting excited and just, understanding that we are here for you, that as women of color, as women in general, like we want to resource, we want to be the person and the group that helps you to understand your calling and to discern it. If you feel like, well, I think this is my place, I think this is my thing, then please join. You do not have to know for sure, because this is the space to hone that skill. And then maybe you're not meant to stand behind a pulpit. Maybe you are meant to be in a room with women. Maybe you're meant to be on a panel. Maybe you're meant to be a group leader. Like, we don't know, but here is the place and space to incubate, to try things out. I mean, that's the thing I want for you to know, is that there is no right or wrong answers, but that this is the place to try things. And that's what Preacher Chicks is all about. Is we were women who once somebody took a chance on us, and we wanted to take that same chance on you. So last thing we want to just focus on is, what do we each uniquely bring to this process? And for myself, for the last 6 years, I've led cohorts of young leaders and helped them to understand and to grow in their faith and in their deploying their skills and abilities to help people to understand what their gifts and talents are, spiritual gifts, natural talents and skills. And number one for me, though, all of those things are built on character. And so I am all about character development in the process of unearthing skills and experience. And so that's what you will get from me, is you will get challenged in are you building this on a foundation of character?
I love that. I have dubbed myself personally, and it has been affirmed by the group, that I'm the librarian in residence, the resource person. Since before I can remember, really, my answer to every problem has been, I'll read a book about it, or I will ask a friend, or both of those things. So in our time together, you can expect from me personalized recommendations from my vast library, or I will call somebody else who might have more information than I do. I'm a connector, a reader, deeply and widely, podcast listener, films, music, all of these sorts of things that enrich our journeys together. So I'm happy to be a curating librarian to provide several kinds of resources as we're on this journey together. And like I've mentioned before, I'm first and foremost a preacher, a student. So I have a rich library of commentaries and exegetical resources, original language tools, things that can help us dive into this ancient text and see how it speaks to us today.
Well, for a number of years, I taught speaking workshops to women, and that when I created that content, it allowed me to really break down how do you write a message, what goes into it, what does the process look like. So I feel like kind of having those tools to be teaching you and helping guide you in how to do that is something that God has been building in me already, even before I ever knew about Preacher Chicks. And then secondly, I spent some time as a professional improviser on the Las Vegas Strip. So when it comes to being flexible and natural on stage, when it comes to just being yourself and having fun, I have a lot of experience with that, with a very unique audience. So I am passionate to help other people learn how to be themselves and have fun on stage.
For me, I would say that I am passionate about having those difficult discussions, especially in the church. So a little bit about me, that's something that's unique is people think it's funny when they find out that I started my own sex education club in high school. And so really with 20 years of experience, not only is sex like my favorite subject, I'm also really comfortable talking about it with people of any age, right? And also right now, I think I have been really passionate about starting discussions in the church about how to better accept and love LGBTQ people. And I find that once I can honestly talk about healthy relationships and sex, the experience of sharing the gospel and discipling others is just so much more genuine, because talking about sex not only opens the door for people's current struggles and past shames, but it also opens the door for understanding that sexual integrity is only one part in honoring God with every single area of their lives.
And one of the things that I will be bringing with me in our time together is how to offer pastoral care from the pulpit, how to have the head-heart connection. And one of my favorite authors, Henry Nouwen, wrote in The Wounded Healer, is that ministers are not doctors whose primary task is to take away pain. Rather, they deepen the pain to a level where it can be shared. And this is a lot of the perspective that I bring, is that the pastor, the preacher, the speaker is the person who goes first and most deeply into those places of pain, like Annie shared, that we go there first, where a lot of people are afraid to go, so that that pain can be understood more intimately and the gospel can be received. So that's a little bit about what I will be experiencing with you.
Well, if you've made it this far, I hope you are intrigued by the Preacher Chicks process, cohort availability, the experience that we're bringing to you. And I hope that you will you will reach out to us. I will tell you how to do that. That will be actually in our notes attached to this video. And I hope you will fill out an application, share with us about you, and, join us in this process. It will be a 9-month-long process, an investment in your life of teaching, preaching, finding out if this is what God is calling you to. If you feel drawn even just a little bit, step into it with us. We look forward to meeting you. Bye for now.